Hey guys, this will be the introduction to a new project. This is a lower frame section to another project that started out in another project, and things about it that I liked, and it was pretty much the good basis to building a Sidewinder. Just Google Sidewinder and you'll see it's a Australian type vehicle designed by a company called Edge. I don't intend on buying the plans for it. I'm just going basing things off the pictures. It really wouldn't do me any good to have the schematics because there's so many things I'm going to change about it. But when I had this in the other project, I was putting, this is a 300EX front frame welded to, a rear frame that I made. Anyway, I had on the go-kart that I had this in, I had the 300EX arms and I had super long ball joints to make it wider. And one of the subscribers I have mentioned that it was looking janky. And I definitely would agree. And that's kind of the reasons, well, one of the reasons why I stopped working on it, because I pretty much needed to make arms that was the proper length. But even then, if I was to make arms the proper length, it needs stuff built around this right here to make it look right, because it'd just be this little narrow front end and super long arms. I'll show you guys some pictures here in a second, but pretty much what I'm looking at is, like, you look up these Sidewinders, they have a really narrow nose. It's pretty much just like this. It's real narrow in the center. They have really bulky shocks on because of how much length the A-arm has. And what I'm looking at doing is bringing the hood type part of the frame a little wider and a little higher, so I have a place to mount my shocks further out. And once there's a hood and everything on here, the arms won't look, you'll see length of the arms from the very front of it, but standing and looking down at it, you won't see this small front end and the long arms. I don't think it'll look bad. And then if you look at the front of them, they kind of have like a scoop type bumper. It comes up like this with like an aluminum plate. I want to do something like that. Basically, I'll have to build this out, and there'll be the box shape coming down. But at first, I want to do the arms, because that is the hardest task to this. And if I can't make those arms, then there's no point in going any further with this project. But I'll show you guys some pictures. This is a Sidewinder. It's a eBay buy plans. Come on, move. There's all kinds of pictures. But my buddy's going to have the basic principle of this. The engine's going to be on the side. And here's the picture of the engine on the side. It'll have the basic principles of what this looks like, but it wouldn't do me any good to own the plans because I'm going to change so much. I'm going to do a different rear swing arm and stuff's going to be completely different than theirs. I'm going to have dual A arms where they don't have dual A arms. I'm going to have front brakes. They don't have front brakes. But alright, we'll start working on them arms. Hey guys, today I'm going to look into coming up with some ideas and maybe get started on making longer A-arms for the Sidewinder project. And this right here is a 400EX A-arm, and best figures I got is it needs to be 6 inches longer. So my plan is I'm going to weld a straight edge to this piece of metal. This is a sheet of metal here, and come up with like stops to put on each side of the heim joint, so that way when I go to make arms, all I do is just stick the cut off pieces of the heim joint down into the piece, maybe tack it on the tops to hold it in place, come up with whatever the center line is of this arm, like laying one of these arms in here, and I'll draw on here a straight line of what this arm is, so that way I got another set of arms. I ain't going to destroy these arms, but I found some other arms that has good heim joints. I'm going to cut them off and grind off all the welds. So then on each arm I just set these down in here, and I'll tack on a piece just like this to this metal, but out here, you know, the 6-inch mark. And then all I got to do is just bend bars to match up and, you know, connect to the 3 points. So, and my plan with the bars is what I'm going to do is, you can see here there's a bend. I can't get this tight of a bend. So what I'm going to do is just stick, I'm going to use 3/4 inch gas pipe. This bar here is about the equivalent of 1/2 inch gas pipe. But stick the bar in the bender and bend it as far as I can. Cut it in the center of the bend, and basically I'll just crop back each side of the bend so that it matches up, you know, and try to make 2 arms identical. And then the other side of the bike is just the arm kind of flipped over. A little bit of other things I'm thinking about with this. I don't know what the upper arms I need to do this, but you can see here there's an angle. And one of the things you got to consider, see if I can get out of the wind a little bit. If you've seen the spindles, I could show you. They're kind of set up so that they almost have to have this bend, but at the same time, this thing's going to be wider. So these arms ain't going to have to be as tilted. You know, if you know what I'm saying, they're going to be. This thing's going to be 57 inches wide. So I don't see the angle needing to be. I don't think the upper arms need an angle at all put on. The lower arm definitely has to have the angle, and here's the lower, and you can see that the angle is a lot sharper on this. So how to get that angle in there, I don't know. I'm thinking, what I'm kind of thinking about is I'll actually tack a little piece of metal to the side, to the bottom of it, of the new piece, and then you know, it'll tack it here, and then that'll maintain the angle, and just make sure I use the same size metal on the other arm, and you know, that'll give me some, you know, an angle. I don't think I need this sharp of an angle, but it needs to have one. So that's my plan, and see how this goes. So I took one of the pieces of 3/4 inch pipe, bent it, and the most I can get is about 50 degrees. About 50 degrees is the tightest I can bend it. And cut it in half right at the bend and laid it on top of here. And you can kind of get an idea of what I'm looking at here. Is it, you know, I'll make a new one of these. I'm actually going to make these 5/8 ID. These pieces here, so that way the 5/8 tie rods will fit right in, and all I gotta do is put set nuts on. When I had fixed up these arms with the 5/8 shaft, I had to put chamfers on the nuts so that they would center up in there. But anyway, we'll just put, you know, I'll just notch these out so that one of these, you know, fits right in there. And well, I'm going to do this better. This right here is just laying out. I'm going to mark it all out on here on this piece of metal. Right now I just got it laid on top just to kind of give you guys an idea of what my plan is. I want, you know, the center line of where this one is to match up, so that it's actually going to be up here somewhere probably. Bad thing about this bender is it leaves dents. These dents and stuff. I could take my little welder and weld those up and polish them out if I really want, but made it too long right now. I just made it 3 foot, and I figure just, you know, cut off what I don't need. But that's the start of it. Alright, so the Harbor Freight cutoff saw, it failed. It was good for about one project. The transmission went out of it, gearbox. So I cut it off, and it's working pretty good as a vise to hold stuff while I cut it with the Sawzall. So another problem I had with it was the little tool to, take this nut loose. The little ears on it kind of bent over and would not take it off, and so I welded a nut on there to get it loose. So it basically, I think it wore through about 2 of these blades, and that was it. So I wouldn't buy this thing. It was only good for about 1 project. If it's only what you need to do with it, it's just one of those tools where if you only needed something like this once in a while, it would have been okay. And another thing was, it didn't really cut that straight. I couldn't back this off, turn this far enough of this way to get it so it actually cut perfectly straight. I always ended up having to grind stuff. So this is a do not buy. Alright, so I got all the pieces bent, and I just gotta cut them in half. But I made them all shorter. First one I just made it 3 foot end to end, and then bent it in the middle. This one here I made it 4 inches, 4.5 inches shorter, so that way, I don't have so much, left on the end. Actually, there's 2, it'll be about 2 1/4. So all these ends will be on one piece, and I can potentially use it for something else. So, alright, well, I'll get these cut in half. Alright, so I already kind of messed up a little bit, and I forgot that the lower arms are longer. So, it's okay, I got 1 arm worth, so I just need to make another 3 foot cut in half. And these 4 here will be the upper. And I just got 3 foot of wasted material. That's fine. I'll probably mess up something with grinding and notching them out, so extra pieces. Alright, we got all the bars cut for upper and lower arms. Probably next video we'll do probably the upper arms first. They're the easiest. And if I mess up, I got extra bars already cut and bent. But I'm going to call it a day for this, and I'll catch you guys later.